Good Monday afternoon. If you are somewhere in the northern hemisphere of the United States, it's probably afternoon where you are right now. And if you're somewhere else, hope you're having a good morning or a good evening, or if you're watching this later, hope you're having a good time wherever you are. It is a gorgeous day here in the Ozarks of southern Missouri. I am going to be joined by Jessica Walsh in just a few seconds. Hopefully, she'll join in uh, very soon. We're going to talk to her just a little bit about her studio, what she's got going on. Jessica is someone that I don't actually know that well, but we are both members of the Speakeasy Cooperative, and I'm looking forward to getting to know her a little bit better. Basically, I asked anybody at Secco if they wanted to come on Instagram Live with me and chat, and she said yes. So hopefully, when she comes on, we'll be able to get to know her a little bit better. If you are not familiar with me, I am Dr. Heather Nelson, vocalogist, and I am your personal pedagogy professor. I love all things voice and voice science and all of that stuff. And I love taking the complexities of pedagogy and science and breaking it down into ways that are not only understandable but accessible so that you can actually use those principles in your voice studio. If you want to know more about me, certainly go to my website. You can find the link in the bio. And if you want to get pedagogy stuff in your inbox like every week ish, I miss some weeks. But if you want to get that, there's a link in my bio to sign up for my email list as well. I have, I put out little pedagogy information, downloads, and all kinds of things that you can access through my email through my email list. Sorry, I'm trying to hit buttons and talk at the same time. That never ever ever goes well. All right, so Jessica is on. This should work. It's worked every other time so far. Oh, there, great.
Hi, Heather.
Hi, Jessica. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing so well. You have such a lovely background. Like it looks very cozy where
It
you are.
is. It is cozy. It's a little nook. We have like a Cape Cod style house, so this is like the upper floor where the ceiling kind of goes like this, and I have my piano up here. It's very cozy.
Very nice. So I was kind of giving a little intro when I got this started. You're actually a member of Speakeasy, as I am, but you're a member that I don't know that well. So I'm getting or I'm excited to kind of get to know you a little bit. So would you mind just to tell me and everybody else, like, where are you? What do you do? Who are your clients? All that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in New Jersey. I'm New Jersey born and raised. I have been teaching for about 10 years now. I teach a lot of like school aged people, like high school, middle school, some elementary. I also teach some adults and college age singers, but mostly like teens are the
Mhm.
bulk of what I am working with right now. Um, I love to work with singers who are doing their musicals in school, their choirs. I love to work with singers who are prepping for auditions. I've got a couple singers that have, done the college audition thing. Um, what else? I joined Speakeasy Cooperative in, I want to say like April or May of 2021. So it's
Mhm.
been less than a year, but it's been really a transformative year in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. I've learned a lot and changed a lot about my business and kind of my thinking about my business in the last like 8-ish months. So it's been good.
Yeah, that is, I've been in Speakeasy now for, gosh, 3 years or so. Um, and I may be one of the more remedial members. I don't know. It takes me a while to catch on to things sometimes, but you're right. The mindset shift on how I think about my business has probably been one of the biggest changes that Seco has done for me. So um, that's pretty cool. And I love that you mentioned that you work with choir members too. I'm also a choir director, and choristers are a near and dear to my heart. And I've done some professional chorus singing and stuff like that, both, opera chorus and, just like choirs, professional choirs. And really good choral singing is not taught very well or very much. We tend to focus in voice lessons and even um, beyond like the school setting. We're not really taught how to sing as a chorister in really really good ways, I think. So I love that you're working with choir singers too.
Yeah, I find a lot of choir singers end up making strange compensations based on what the director has asked the group to do. So yeah, I'm trying to help them not develop problems.
Right.
Yeah.
We do that. Yeah, it's and being just a choir director too, it is really hard to give like blanket advice to like, the
Yeah.
40 some odd singers that are in front of you without having, somebody or two somebodies, at least to, take it to an extreme or not understand and all. It's choir singing is hard, and it's choir teaching is hard. And so we really do need a lot of, voice teachers that are working one-on-one with individuals, how to sing in a group. That's super important.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, the choir director is always in a hard position, right? Because they need to give blanket advice,
Mhm.
but each individual kind of has their own interpretation and application of that advice. So yeah, it's a tricky spot.
Yeah, totally. So if I could wave my wand and like fix something, making choral singing or choral teaching easier might be one of those things that I would just like flick my wrist and make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was curious, just like with the way that you have your studio set up and everything. Do you have anything that's like coming up? Any fun things that are happening in your studio right now that you'd love to tell people about?
Well, not a ton, but I do group classes occasionally. And
Mhm.
right now in January, I'm in the middle of doing a voice class for kids because I find that a lot of young singers, like ages 8, 9, 10, they want to take voice lessons, but maybe it's not right for them yet.
Mhm.
Maybe they don't need to do that yet. So I do a group class, maybe once a quarter. And right now I'm doing it with a couple of really great little girls, and we're learning about singing, and we're singing some songs. So that's really fun. I do like to work with the little ones sometimes. They can be really sweet. So that's really, I don't really have too much else like coming up per se, but yeah, that's
No.
pretty much that. Can I hear more about you? I was like reading through your website, but I would love to hear more about you and your background.
Sure. So, my business name, whatever my persona is, Dr. Heather Nelson, vocalogist, and so I have a PhD in voice science and vocal pedagogy, and I teach voice lessons, of course, but one of my favorite things to do is to teach the teachers. I love to take the things that I learned, particularly in my doctorate, and just kind of like blast it out to the masses, because not everybody, is able to go back to school or maybe doesn't want to or whatever, but would love to have the education that a master's or doctorate could provide. And so I'm basically offering my brain to whoever wants to use it. And so I offer things like vocal ped parties where I get together one-on-one with a teacher over Zoom and, like ask any question that you want. If I can answer it, I'll do it. And I will have a course coming out on adolescent changing voice, like the 1st of March or so. And I'm working real hard on getting that ready to launch. So just giving teachers the tools that are based in science as much as can be to make their teaching better. I'm in Springfield, Missouri, and so I was uh, not born here, but about an hour or so from here. So I've kind of stayed in the area most of my life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's really cool. I've kind of like toyed with the idea of getting a doctorate because I have my master's, but I
Mhm.
when it comes down to it, like I just don't think I can do it. Like it just feels like a lot. It feels like a
It
lot.
is a lot.
And
Yeah.
financially, I don't know. It's very expensive. So yeah, that's great that's amazing what you're offering to people,
Mhm.
that knowledge, for not having to write a giant thesis or,
There's that, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because it took me, of course, I had some things, some barriers that were kind of thrown up in my way, but it took me 2 years to just to do the dissertation,
Yeah,
for me. And so, yeah, and there's, I think too, the academic programs tend to have, a lot of requirements associated with them that aren't always, they're basically just hoops to jump through, and they don't make me a better teacher. They make me a better box checker.
mm,
Um, and so if you're not of the, the I don't know. If that's not your thing, like just fulfilling requirements just so that you could say you did it, then getting education in an alternative way could really, really be helpful. Because if you don't need the theory classes, if you don't want the lit classes, whatever, if you just want the pedagogy and the science stuff, you can get that without having to go back to get a degree. You know, that said, I'm never going to dissuade anybody from getting a degree if that's what they want. There are definite benefits to it. There are also definite problems or cons with it too. So, particularly at the doctorate level, it does, I think, take a lot of serious contemplation before you dive in and do it,
definitely.
for sure. All right, so uh, I told you a little bit about what I have coming up. I've got the course and everything coming up, so that's real fun. But just like super random question. I'm curious, uh, like in the middle of your teaching afternoon, and you're um, dragging like I was just a few minutes ago. I totally like hit a wall just in the middle of the afternoon. But like, what is your favorite pick me up? Like if you've got to just kind of like inject your body with a little bit of energy, in the middle of your teaching day?
That's a great question. I am still trying to figure out the best kind of pick me up. I don't think there's any like magic bullet, but I don't know. I find myself on TikTok sometimes
Uh-huh.
watching funny videos. I don't know. I like to watch a good like cat video every now and then to just like,
I know.
laugh a little bit.
I love that. I'm not on TikTok. I actually just talked with Phyllis Horridge last week. She's like the TikTok queen.
Yeah.
And so I will sometimes like watch them if they get sent to me or whatever. I have a friend in California who is very reliable to send me reels like through Instagram message, like 4 or 5 a day, usually at least. So I always check up and see what Leanne sent me. And I can go down the reel rabbit hole for like, oh yeah, it's a real good time. I love YouTube. There's a British comedian. His name is Michael McIntyre, and he like he's just funny. I just think he's really, really funny, and so I enjoy watching his stuff. And I went and I made myself a giant mug of chai, so like mug almost big enough to go swimming in. Um, but give me a little bit of a caffeine boost in the afternoon, and plus I like chai, so
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite things that I can look forward to after I am done like staring at my computer for an hour. I can make myself a cup of chai, and I'll survive for at least another hour.
Yeah. Chai's delicious. So good for the winter.
Yes, it is. Especially, I don't know what it's like there in New Jersey right now. We actually have a pretty warm day. It's around 60 degrees
Oh my gosh.
today. But over the weekend, it was like single digits, negative, wind chills and stuff like that. So like I'm looking forward to going out and taking a long walk today because it's going to get cold again tomorrow and I don't know when I'll get to do this again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, it is definitely not 60 degrees right now. Nowhere close.
Hmm.
No, we're probably like 30, 31, something like that.
Yeah, so I may have sent our weather to you over the last day or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm also curious too, do you have any particularly amongst your littles, any songs that are like the favorites that are coming out? Do you have like any Encanto songs that keep showing up right now?
That's a really good question. I don't have too many like littles right now, but
Mhm.
yeah, they definitely sometimes like to bring in like new trending songs. Nobody's asked for Encanto yet. I haven't seen it yet. I should probably watch it. That's a good reminder. I should probably watch it.
Yeah,
Um,
I haven't either, but I've seen little bits of it, and what I've seen is like real super cute.
yeah, so I'm sure the requests are coming. Um, yeah, I've had a lot of, a lot of requests for Frozen over the last couple of years.
Hmm.
I my philosophy is like, I like to like, if they're dying to sing a particular song, like sure, we'll do it. But what I like to do with my littles is like, I'll show them, I'll say, I'm going to give you 3 songs to choose from, and whichever one you like the best is the one we're going to
Hmm.
do. So then I show them 3 different options, which makes them feel like they have a ton of options, but they're
Right?
like, songs that I feel are going to be appropriate and like age, vocally appropriate, age appropriate. So I kind of like to like narrow the field a little bit like that.
Hmm.
So a song I pretty much give to every little is my favorite things from The Sound of Music. Like that's just like standard repertoire for my little.
I adore that song. Of course, I love Rodgers and Hammerstein anyway, because I think they're
Yeah.
just really brilliant writers. But that song in particular, like, um, just like the silver white winters that melt into, I mean, just the poetic text and all of the little alliterations, brown paper packages that you can, so you can work on diction through that. And, like, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings, you get to, really work with like the F sound and the W sound, and it's a brilliant text, that he wrote, and the melody too, because you get to work on that upward fifth leap that is not always the easiest, particularly for younger singers to be able to do, but because it repeats so much that you really get a lot of work on it, plus the chromatic stuff that comes later on. It's a fantastic song with tons and tons of pedagogical content, and plus I just love it.
No, you're totally, yeah, nail on the head. Yeah, it's got so much depth, but it's also upbeat and they like it. And
Hmm.
because they like it, it's something that they're willing to work on. So,
Uh-huh.
it just works on all those levels.
I know. I tend to bring that in, and I find now too. Of course, I'm old enough. I've been around the block enough times that, kids that are younger, well, I say kids, if they're younger than 25, many of them have not seen The Sound of Music before, unless they saw it in school or whatever. I saw The Sound of Music several times, by the time I got to college age. Even though it's an older movie, but there are other musicals that kind of have supplanted The Sound of Music in a lot of ways. And so you introduce the that song to them and they've never heard it before, and it's interesting too, because I found, this is off on a little bit of a tangent, but my favorite Looney Tunes is What's Opera Doc, with the Porky Pig and all of the Wagner themes and everything. And it was really interesting when I was teaching collegiate level. I'd show that at the beginning of our Wagner unit. About half of the class, and of college freshmen and sophomores had never seen it before.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun to like introduce those little bits of our musical culture to a new generation.
Yeah, I love doing that. I love sharing with them like the great songs that they've never probably heard or might not, if,
Mhm.
wasn't for music educators, which music educators are so amazing and important. What was I going to But the funny thing about that particular song, about my favorite things, is that, Ariana Grande did cover it.
That's
So
true.
sometimes a student will say, "This song sounds really familiar. Isn't this an Ariana Grande song?" And then I get to have the conversation about, well, she was inspired, she covered it, and she kind of made it her own. So it's kind of cool how
Mhm.
they can see like how songs can evolve and be reinterpreted. And there's just a nice conversation to be had with that as well.
Mhm. It's true. Yeah. I had forgotten about her cover actually. So, um, uh, but yeah, that's absolutely true. I'm also finding too that, just the Disney songs in particular, which, Disney has always been like a super reliable, just pool of repertoire, is particularly for younger kids. The Disney songs that have come out in, say, the last 10 years or so, really with like Frozen and onward, have been so much more complicated than and like rangy, and super belty,
Yeah.
than Disney in the past. And so, like if I've got a kiddo that, sure, if you want to sing, like Let It Go, we can try to find a key that will work for you in your voice, or, we can do, maybe, do you want to build a snowman or something like that that's, similar, but not as, like all in. But you can go back to that later, or the older Disney songs that are still cute, still accessible, still really fun, and then keep working your way until they're able to get to Let It Go when they're when it's more developmentally appropriate for them.
Yeah, definitely. I love pulling from the Disney canon. It works really well for the younger ones, for sure.
Totally works well. All right. So, beyond, do you have a favorite book or resource that you tend to go to all the time?
That's a really good question. I actually really like to pull from the RCM series, the Royal
Ah, yeah.
Conservatory of Music, just because they have, all the different levels from
Mm-hmm.
like, I forget if it goes to what, level 8 or something, or 9.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Yeah.
just have a wide variety of repertoire that's so well like divided into levels. I love to pull from that. It's just super easy to follow, and the kids usually
Mm-hmm.
do it. So yeah.
Yeah, I love the RCM books. I just had this really long conversation with Jocelyn last week because she just put out her oral skills
Oh yeah.
drill book for singers, and it's all based on the RCM series. And so, I think she's going to end up doing more. I don't want to put words or ideas into her head, but that's the impression I get, that she's going to expand it so that it'll be for for kind of like everybody. But I think the RCM series is so great, and I wish we used it more here in the States, because not only is it really graded well, but they have such interesting things that they add into their books. It's not the old 24 Italian, hits that
Mhm.
that everybody does. You can really find some interesting things in their books that I think uh, students generally really connect to.
Yeah, totally. I've had a lot of success with those books. And circling back to Jocelyn's resource that you developed, I
Mhm.
tested level 3, and it was
Yeah,
really helpful. I have somebody working to do the level 3 test, and I've been using the level 3 prep that Jocelyn made, and it's been really great. So, little plug for that. It's really a
that's
nice
awesome.
resource.
That's awesome. I really haven't had a chance to eyeball it, but I don't that isn't something that is fitting, what I need in my studio yet, but I
Yeah.
think it's a fantastic resource for those that need it, because sight reading is not necessary to be like a fantastic singer, but sometimes it makes the process of learning shorter, from like getting a song to being able to master it, being able to sight read well,
Right.
just shorten that journey.
Yeah, definitely. The oral skills, you pick things up quicker. Yeah.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. So, all right. What have you listened or watched anything recently that you just love, even if you're not assigning it to a student?
Ooh, um, that's a really good question. I did recently watch Tick Tick Boom. Um,
Hmm.
when it came out, what did it come out in, like November or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
And I was super inspired by that. I don't know. Did you see it?
I haven't watched the whole thing. I sat down and started it, so I've gotten about like a third of the way through. I'm
Okay.
terrible.
No spoilers. To be honest, I kind of forget some of the things now because it's been a couple months. But I just like left. I left it feeling so inspired, like as an artist and as a singer and someone in the arts. Like it just kind of documents the journey that so many of us take of,
Mm-hmm.
putting your all into something, and then, then it's done, and then it's not the thing, it's not the career making thing you wanted it to be. So
Mm-hmm.
you start the next thing, and you start the next
Mm-hmm.
thing, and you start the next, you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. So I
Mm-hmm.
felt really inspired by it. So you should
Yeah.
finish it. It's really good.
Yeah, I totally will. I am like the worst when it comes to like sitting down and watching things. I just like like I'm always like all over the place. So like I sit down and I watch, and then I'm up and I'm doing something, and it's, I don't know, maybe I have a little ADD tendencies or something. I'm not sure, but so I will get to it. What there was a song or a movie that came out I think a couple years ago from Disney um called Soul. I don't know if you've seen that one yet.
Mhm.
I was a little late to on the train for that one too. I just watched that over my Christmas break, and my goodness, I loved that one.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was really good, and I rewatched. They broadcast Sing on network TV like over the Christmas break too, and I watched that again, and I really would love to sing too. I love that singing pig in the sequin suit.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen clips, and I think I know the pig you're talking about.
Okay. It's hilarious
Yeah.
because I mean, it's basically like American Idol in an animated version with farm animals.
Yeah.
But it's super cute, and it's cute enough, and relatable enough that I, as an adult, still loved to watch it just because, it was real funny, and punny, in a lot of places. But of course, it's just, it was a great movie, so I hope that I can see the second one before too long, because I think that should be pretty good too. If it's anything like the first one, it should be a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's got big stars in it too, I think so.
Mhm. Yeah, like Matthew McConaughey is like the voice of the main character,
Hmm.
and they've got a lot of big names doing voices and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very fine. So, well, I want to honor your time. So, like, what kind of offers do you have in your studio now? You mentioned that you've got the group class going, and you've obviously you're teaching one-on-one lessons, but what kind of offers do you have in your studio right now?
Yeah, those are the main two. I do one-on-one private lessons. And then, like I said, I usually have a quarterly group class. I have done group classes for adults in the past, and I've been toying with the idea of doing another group class for adults in 2022. But if that were to happen, it would probably be maybe maybe spring or maybe fall.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've done some group classes with, it's usually for beginner adults who are looking to kind of like, it's usually people who sang in the past, or maybe, sing at home, but they want to kind of start to get some actual vocal training and get their voice
Mhm.
up to snuff for whatever they need in their lives, whether it be singing, locally, or karaoke, or local theater, or choirs, or wherever they need to be. So that might be on the horizon. I'll definitely do another kids class as well this year, probably in the fall. But yeah, those are the best ways to work with me right now. What about you, Heather?
Same thing, kind of. I do offer one-on-one lessons, and so if anybody is interested in that, I love working with adults, particularly adults who have had some sort of a musical background, but that's not necessary because I've done, a lot of church choirs, and church choirs have, the kind of singing saints, that just love to sing, but maybe can't, have never learned how to read music or whatever. I love working with adults. I do work with kids like on a case by case basis, just and if I'm not the best person for that, then I have great colleagues in town or around the country if they're willing to go online that I can refer to. But for voice teachers, if you're looking to have your questions answered, particularly questions that you're maybe a little too afraid to drop into the forums, that I'm here for that. So. I've got links in my bio on my Instagram page that you can book time with me for a vocal ped party, and we can dive into your questions and try to make it applicable. So not only do you get the information, but you know how to apply it into your studio. So it's not just taking your brain and like putting on the shelf, but it's like actually using it. So I have that going on. I every month have pedagogy happy hour on the 28th of every month, that teachers can kind of come in and get, basically it's like a graduate seminar so on whatever topic of the month is, and then I have a topic every week on my week-ish on my socials. This week I'm talking about the sinuses and how the sinuses can ruin your life, at least for the day, or ruin your day. But particularly talking about the difference between allergies and sinus infections, because that can sometimes be a little tricky to know, and knowing the difference and getting the right treatment is super important. So so I'm talking about sinuses next week. Next week I'm going to get into depression in singers, because depression can actually affect the voice. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And the best way to follow along with that stuff is on my email list. So, and there's a link to sign up for my email list in my bio as well.
Oh, that's amazing. You have so much going on. Wow, that's so cool. So your party's coming up then in like what, 4 days? It's the 24th.
Something, yeah. So yeah, on Friday I'll have a vocal pedagogy happy hour this month.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. Yep, and then I got to get this course, all wrapped up and ready to launch and stuff. So I got a lot of stuff. But anyway, if anybody wants to follow me, obviously Dr. Heather Nelson on Instagram and Facebook. I'm also on Twitter at Vocalogist, but I'm not as good at posting there. But I also have a YouTube channel, Dr. Heather Nelson, where this video will live on my YouTube channel, and some other things like occasionally I release a 5-minute pedagogy class or a 1-minute voice lesson, and those are on there. So you can find all of those there. But that's how you follow me, and drheathernelson.com. What about you, Jessica? How can people follow you?
Oh, yeah. I am at Perennial Voice Studio on Instagram. I am on TikTok. I post occasionally. It's my name is Jess the Voice Teacher. And then my website is perennialvoice.com. So
I forgot to ask you. I think I heard this story early on. I may be making this up in my own mind, but where did your studio name come from?
That's a great question. So for a long time, it was just named after, like, it was my name, Jessica Studio, but I decided that I wanted the voice studio to be more than about just me. I wanted it to convey the idea of growth and like development and beauty, and I love gardening, so it kind of just all came together. I don't know, the idea just came to me and it worked. So
Awesome. So I'm a baby gardener, a little bit. Hydrangeas are my favorite. Like, I love hydrangeas. So I'm still like figuring out like where the best place in my yard for them to get enough sun but not too much, and blah blah blah, so that they'll actually like bloom every year. But what do you love to grow?
Well, yeah, I have my beloved hydrangea bush. I have one. I feel like I can't have a ton of them because of the deer. So I have a lot of rhododendron, azalea. I have my hydrangea. I love coneflower, which are also called echinacea. Love, so beautiful. They're deer resistant. I basically have to try to grow deer resistant because there's no point in doing anything else. I have some hosta, which they do well because the deer like don't really like eat them in the summer, so it's fine. I have a little vegetable garden. I wish it could be bigger, but we don't have the biggest property ever. So a little bit garden that does pretty well. What am I forgetting? That's most of it. I have some other perennials and other annuals like thrown in there, but that's like the bulk of it.
Yeah, I have the remnants of a vegetable garden. The last 2 years we've had like super dry summers, And it hadn't happened before. Like I could plant tomatoes and peppers and everything, and the squirrels would leave them alone. But the last 2 summers, nope, they have eaten every tomato off my plant.
Yeah.
So, like, I just had this big long conversation with my bestie over the weekend. Like, maybe I won't plant anything because I really need to like build a structure to keep the stupid squirrels out. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I'm giving them bird seed and everything like every day, but they still want to eat my tomatoes. Um, but I did grow some onions last year, and they left the onions alone. And so I might try that again too, because I cook with onions all the time. And
Yeah.
so if I have like 150 onions around, probably, you know, I don't know. I'll use them eventually.
That's amazing. That's a great crop.
Yep, I love them. All right. Well, Jessica, I had a lot of fun talking with you. It was really great to get to know you a little bit better. And so, again, I hope if people, watch this later, that they'll follow you and they'll follow me, and we'll get, all kinds of, be able to share some fun stuff with the world.
Yeah, it was such a pleasure talking to you. It was so nice to like
Absolutely.
virtually in this cyberspace.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and I will let you go. Bye, everybody. Thanks for
Bye.
watching.